Drake's world might be crumbling faster than anyone expected. Explosive new evidence has just surfaced, linking him to Xxxtentacion's murder, and it's throwing the case into a whole new light. From cryptic lyrics to alleged gang ties and suspicious movements, the connections are piling up and they're impossible to ignore. Let's hit rewind. Xxxtentacion, aka Xxxtentacion, wasn't just a rapper. He was the SoundCloud blueprint catapulting from underground prodigy to a full-blown cultural phenomenon. His raw, soul-bearing tracks didn't just top charts, they became lifelines for millions of fans who felt seen in his pain. The chaos all started with Look at Me, an unapologetically wild anthem that practically screamed Gen Z rebellion. X didn't just make music. He cracked open his heart and let the world peek inside, delivering beats drenched in emo vibes, lo-fi grit, and rap rawness. It was a sound nobody owned but him. Of course, a rise this explosive didn't come without its mess. X's life off stage was a storm of legal troubles and shocking allegations, from A to domestic violence. To some, he was a misunderstood genius. To others, a walking red flag. Yet, no matter the drama, his music never lost its grip, solidifying X as a generation-defining artist whose legacy refuses to fade. Tragically, X's story came to a heartbreaking end on June. The year-old artist, born Xxxtentacion, was leaving Riva Motorsports in Deerfield Beach, Florida. When the unthinkable happened, it was broad daylight, but that didn't stop masked men from ambushing him in his BMW i. These guys weren't playing. They bags stuffed with dollar in cash, withdrawn earlier that day to buy a new motorcycle. But things turned deadly fast. Surveillance footage later revealed in court showed the chaos as X struggled, refusing to give up the bag at first. Then, in a shocking moment that still haunts his fans, he was shot at point-blank range. It was over in seconds. The killers fled the scene, leaving X lifeless in his car. He was rushed to the hospital but pronounced dead soon after. The news broke like wildfire, leaving fans worldwide heartbroken and the hip-hop community in shock. X wasn't just a rising star. He was the star with a rawness and talent that felt untouchable. To think his life was cut short, it just felt like the ultimate injustice. Within days, authorities pieced together what went down, leading to the arrests of 4 men: Michael Boatwright, who was identified as the shooter, Trayvon Newsome, the ND gunman, Dedrick Williams, the getaway driver who also orchestrated the robbery, and Robert Allen, who played the role of lookout. These guys weren't exactly subtle. They were caught on surveillance cameras buying masks and gloves at a local store just minutes before the murder. In a twist straight out of a true crime series, Robert Allen eventually folded under the pressure. He pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and robbery, agreeing to snitch on the other 3. The drama didn't stop there. The trial was a grim affair, with the prosecution presenting damning evidence, text messages, videos of the suspects flaunting cash stolen from X, and Allen's testimony painting a chilling picture of the events leading up to the murder. Ultimately, Boatwright, Williams and Newsome were convicted and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Justice seemed to have been served, or so it appeared. While the convictions closed one chapter, they opened another. Whispers of a deeper conspiracy started to circulate, fueled by X's cryptic social media posts before his death. Could someone else have been pulling the strings? Fans and conspiracy theorists pointed their fingers at an unlikely suspect, Drake. The beef between Drake and Xxxtentacion wasn't your run-of-the-mill rap feud. It was straight-up reality TV levels of drama. Before his tragic end, Xxxtentacion was shaking up the hip-hop world. He wasn't just dropping bangers like Look at Me. He had a knack for staying in the headlines, whether it was his legal issues or the feuds he kept fueling. So when he started trading shots with Drake, it wasn't just drama, it was career rocket fuel. Back in early Drake was on his world tour vibes, soaking up culture and flexing his global reach. But let's not sugarcoat it. Drake's been accused of snagging a little too much inspiration from up-and-coming artists. Enter Amsterdam, where Drake previewed a track called KMT, featuring UK rapper Giggs. The moment that snippet dropped, fans couldn't ignore it. The flow? The cadence? Way too close to X's Look at Me. Was it a coincidence? Some might say sure, but a lot of people were side-eyeing Drake, accusing of hopping on X's wave while also riding Giggs' grime energy, double-dipping into cultures. That's the vibe people were getting. Drake, of course, wasn't about to let that narrative stick. In an interview with DJ Semtex, he played it off casually. Damage was done. The comparisons kept rolling, and X, who was already gaining traction, wasn't about to let it slide. In a flurry of now-deleted tweets, he went all in, accusing Drake of not just biting his style, but swiping vibes from other artists like Drum. He didn't sugarcoat it either, straight up questioning how the industry kept letting Drake stay on top while allegedly building his success off others' work. Drake's career is almost over. He better start investing money into real estate cause. Once it's all over, he really gonna see the fake love. I'm not the first he bit, nor will I be the last. Drake money don't buy you respect. Then he tweeted, "Now this. Trying to play it safe and play it innocent. But it's cool. We all know Hotline Bling was a bite of cha-cha. I'm not gonna say no names, but it's funny how one of my hit-me-ups saying Drake watched her interview and with UX basically declared Drake's career over. But let's be real, that take aged worse than milk left out in the sun. Sure, the tweets are long gone, but screenshots they're forever. Here's the kicker though. X wasn't exactly breaking new ground with that flowback in Lil Uzi Vert. Was already flexing a similar vibe on Super Saiyan Trunks a full year before Look at Me even dropped. Still, X wasn't backing down. Even from behind bars, he was making noise. He hit up DJ Academics, doubling down on his claim that Drake jacked his style. X insisted Drake knew who he was long before KMT came out. Even had the audacity to suggest Drake should have pulled up to his court hearing. Like, what was he expecting? A heartfelt freestyle in his defense? Let's be real, Drake wasn't about to involve himself in all that mess. The guy's got a lot to lose and zero reasons to back someone facing major allegations. But X didn't stop there. For his tragic murder, he posted what might be the most infamous Instagram post in rap history. The post said, "If anyone tries to kill me, it was at Champagne Poppy Drake. I'm snitching RN." Yeah, that's Champagne Poppy. The internet exploded, but before anyone could even process it, Xxx came back saying, "Nah, my account was hacked." Convenient. How the post was gone as fast as it went up, but the damage? Already done. People. The case of Xxtentacion's murder refuses to rest. And now, years later, Drake's name is being dragged back into the headlines. Dedrick Williams, one of the 3 men convicted of the murder, is making a bold move by naming Drake as a potential suspect in his appeal, and the tea just keeps getting hotter. During Dedrick Williams' trial, his attorney, Mauricio Padilla, threw a bombshell claim into the mix. The investigation had missed a major lead, Drake. According to Padilla, X's now infamous Instagram post pointing fingers at Drake should have been treated as a serious clue. Instead, law enforcement zeroed in on the 4 suspects who were eventually convicted, completely brushing off any ties to the rap superstar. Padilla had a clear game plan. Stir up reasonable doubt. He argued that X's public beef with Drake wasn't just petty rap drama. It could have been a motive for something much darker. Could someone in Drake's circle have orchestrated the hit? Padilla didn't hold back, hinting that X's willingness to call out the music industry, combined with his meteoric rise, might have made him a target for powerful people who didn't want to see him win. Things escalated in February when Padilla's team made a bold move to subpoena Drake for a deposition. The court filing used X's Instagram post as evidence, essentially arguing that Drake had to answer some serious questions. But unsurprisingly, Drake's team has been working overtime to keep him out of this mess. When Drake was subpoenaed to testify via Zoom, but his lawyers clapped back hard. Calling the whole thing baseless, they got the court to quash the motion, sparing Drake from answering any awkward questions. Padilla, though, wasn't having it. Pushing for a court order to compel Drake to testify, he said this is one of the biggest celebrities in the world. Excluding an order from this court, we all know I will never be able to take his deposition. And spoiler alert, Drake didn't show up. And while the court ultimately sided with him, Padilla's attempts to drag him into the case reignited public interest. Social media went wild, with fans spinning conspiracy theories faster than a DJ at Coachella. Some people were convinced Drake's A-list status gave him a free pass, while others thought Padilla was just reaching for headlines. Fast forward to, and the drama refuses to die down. Dedrick Williams is back in the headlines, this time filing an appeal that names Drake as a possible alternate suspect. Padilla isn't saying Drake pulled the trigger. He's not that bold, but he's arguing the beef between X and Drake should have been explored as a possible motive. News of X's charitable efforts hit the scene. Reactions were mixed. Some see it as a genuine effort to make a positive impact, while others aren't buying it, seeing it as a PR stunt to sway the judge in his pending trial for DV charges. And let's keep it real. X's track record ain't squeaky clean, with allegations of home invasions, assaults, and some seriously disturbing stuff involving barbecue utensils. In the end, X's efforts to turn over a new leaf are commendable, but they can't erase the shadows of his past. So X's Helping Hand Challenge was a noble gesture. But let's be real. It doesn't wipe the slate clean, especially considering his troubled past. But just when things seem to be looking up, Drake swoops in with his Dodge Plan video, dropping stacks on people in need all over Miami, including X's home state of Florida. Drake's Instagram post shortly after seemed to throw a little shade at X's challenge, and people like DJ Academics and X himself weren't shy about calling it out. That tension would never be resolved. Months later, tragedy struck, with X losing his life in a shooting, and that's when the conspiracy theories started flying. Some people were quick to point fingers at Drake, suggesting he had a hand in X's death. From lyrics to Instagram posts, everything was under the microscope, fueling wild speculations about what really went down. First off, let's talk about the tragic incident that sparked all this mess. Xxxtentacion was gunned down in broad daylight outside a Florida motorcycle shop. It was like something straight out of a movie, except way more real and way more devastating. XXX's lawyers are now trying to drag Drake into the murder trial, saying there might be a connection between their beef and XXX's death. See, while Drake denies any wrongdoing, XXX's lawyers are arguing that the cops didn't look into their beef enough after XXX was killed. But here's where things get interesting. Fans started connecting the dots, thinking Drake might have dropped some hints about XXX's fate in his music. In his track I'm Upset, he throws out some cryptic lines that got people talking. And on another song called On BS, he gets all mathematical, leaving fans wondering if he's sneakily referencing Xxxtentacion. And months before XXX's untimely passing, he was already speaking about the possibility of violence against him, something his lawyers later referenced in court. XXX shared his desire for his message to live on, even if the worst were to happen to him. And sadly, not long after these words were spoken, tragedy struck. XXX went about his day, innocently withdrawing money before visiting a motorsports store. But he didn't know that he was being followed. Security footage captured the chilling moments as 4 suspects trailed him into the store, their intentions veiled behind masks purchased just minutes earlier. After XXX left the store, he was ambushed. The suspects blocked his car, robbed him, and in a moment of senseless violence, ended his life. So where does Drake fit into all this? Lawyers suggest he might have had a hand in orchestrating the hit, but Drake has remained tight-lipped about these allegations. The investigation into Xxxtentacion's tragic passing shed light on a chilling reality. The attack wasn't random. It was targeted, intentional, and according to his sister, Ariana Amfroy, someone put a hit out on her brother, and eyes quickly turned to none other than Drake and his crew, including Breezy, Xxxtentacion members of Migos. Initially, fingers pointed at others, like Soldier Kid and Soldier JoJo, who were allowed allegedly at the scene of the incident. But as the investigation deepened, the spotlight shifted to Drake. Now the defense lawyers for the accused in Xxxtentacion's case are pointing fingers at Drake. They argue that the Broward County Sheriff's Office may have rushed to pin the blame on their clients without thoroughly investigating other suspects, including a certain celebrity. And on social media, many were quick to speculate about Drake's involvement. There are tons of threads of proof and fans connecting the dots on what happened. One wrote Drake for sure did it. He said it multiple times. He said son about XXX the only time I shoot below the neck. And on Knife Talk with Savage, he said I got him while I flew to Turks and a little over 2 weeks after X's Seth Drake was spotted in Turks. And another X posted on his story if anybody kills me, it was Drake. Or the part in the song Mob Ties where Drake says Lewis bags in exchange for body bags. X's Lewis bag was stolen. In the same song he talks about how he can hire people to kill others because of his mob. Same song, he says. Sick of these, hire some help. Also missed the part where one of the shooters admits to being hired. You also missed the part of how X and Drake had major beef and XXX photoshopped a pic with Drake's mom and said he'd fuck her. There's much more evidence. So what's the verdict? Did Drake borrow more than just beats from Xxxtentacion? Or is it all just a big coincidence? It's a mystery that's got rap fans scratching their heads and digging into the lyrics for clues. Let us know what you think, and don't forget to watch this next video too.